Chapter 22, Riverdale Estates. A few ambitious residents of the Riverdale Estates left the comfort of their gated community for a sunrise bike ride. They wore full-body spandex, riding bicycles that belonged in the Tour de France. Casey drank coffee straight out of a thermos, and Truckee sipped a red substance he transferred to an empty Dasani water bottle. Casey's G-Shock flickered as it transitioned to a new hour, 6 o'clock. Casey had set his phone alarm that morning for 4 o'clock and woke in a haze after another restless night. He flipped the calendar to June, drew a heart in the box, and started his coffee on the way out the door. He had driven to Killdeer Farm, but everyone, including Manitou, was still asleep. No milk ready for his friend, Casey snuck into Manitou's stall and petted his back. It reminded him of when he used to read his sister to sleep when she was a toddler. Alley-oop would snuggle up next to him, and as his voice lowered and slowed, she let her head fall into his chest. He thought he would wake Manitou with his touch, but the calf had fallen into a deep breathing pattern. Casey curled his body next to the beast, thought he blinked for a moment, and awoke 15 minutes later, 4:45 a.m. Easing out of the stall, he left a note for Hondo. Hondo, out surveilling our guy this morning and couldn't make the feed for Manitou. I'm sorry about yesterday. Would love to train this afternoon and try some strikes wearing the buffalo helmet if still possible. Thanks, Casey. What mischief did you get into this morning? Truckee asked. Heard you bike and thought you might have ditched me. Casey watched a Chokecherry Elementary School bus zip by. They'd parked in a different part of the street next to the entrance to Riverdale Estates. His binoculars rested on the dash of Truckee's pickup. I had to check on something quick. Truckee took a sip of his red drink and squinched his face. Spicy. What's in there? Homemade Bloody Mary. Figures. Stop diverting. What were you up to this morning? Casey exhaled. He thought about Manitou, Hondo, and taking the bison off Park Service grounds. If Beekler, his father, or anyone else in the MPS found out about the buffalo, his career was over. But he'd become fast friends with Truckee. There was something about his fun-loving, truck-driving friend and campground neighbor that led him to believe he was trustworthy. I would tell you, but you don't have the proper security clearance or need— Shut up! Truckee flicked Casey's leg with his middle finger. Spit it out already. Okay, but you have to promise you won't tell anyone. Do I look like your middle school girlfriend? Who the hell would I tell? Molly from math class? My co-worker, this park ranger lady obsessed with Dots pretzels, heard gunshots at Knife River the other morning. Shoot, should have brought some Dots with today. Love those things. I went to investigate and heard an animal crying down by the river. It was an injured buffalo calf, and I found his dead mother across the river, shot through the heart. Casey clenched a fist. On park grounds? Truckee raised an eyebrow. Yes, and when I went to free the calf, this old guy shows up. Hondo, the retired agent I mentioned yesterday. He has a tranquilizer gun in his hand. He said he could help the calf and bring the mother's remains to his farm, or I could tell my superiors and wait for someone up the chain to make a call. What'd you do? Went with option A. Helped Hondo bring the calf back to his farm to take care of him. That a boy? Would have done the same thing. Except I broke about a dozen federal laws and could kiss my career as a park ranger goodbye if anyone found out. You were already on the way out. You just didn't know yet. Subconsciously you knew. That's why you rescued that calf. Maybe. Casey took a sip of coffee. I've been going over to Hondo's farm twice a day this week to feed the calf, who I named Manitou. That's where I was this morning. Cool name. And I've been training in Hondo's dojo, learning these fighting techniques from Bruce Lee's art of Jeet Kune Do. Truckee whipped his head. That is some Mr. Miyagi magic right there. I'm pissed you didn't tell me sooner, but you can make amends when you introduce me to your sensei. Oh, and I want to meet your new pet. And wear your buffalo helmet too. The trucker hat suits you better. Truckee adjusted his hat. I can make anything look good. Hey, did you find anything juicy on Gunner's GPS? Not yet. I tried downloading the waypoints to my computer, but didn't have the proper cord to connect into the Garmin. I did realize, though, in the middle of the night, we basically stole that from Gunner. I don't think that's within the authority of a fugitive recovery agent. Nah, you're fine. I heard the Outlaw Hunters owner talking on Nodak News about how it's legal for you to break and enter the vehicles and homes of skips. We're just borrowing the GPS. We'll give it back when we arrest him, I guess. Besides, I saw you grimace just now talking about the dead buffalo mother. Don't you want to send this Gunner guy a message? Casey recalled tucking the last edge of the tarp under the mother's body on Hondo's dock. Yeah, I do. It's personal for me. The Riverdale security gates opened and a red Tesla driven by an Asian female zipped away. The same elephant in the telephone booth guard was in the shack. Casey wondered if the guard was stuck there and had made it his permanent home. Now you're all caught up on every secret detail of my life, but it seems like you've been keeping a lot of secrets from me about your spooky arena past. Truckee took another sip of his drink, and Casey could smell the spice this time. All I'll say right now was foxtrot. Foxtrot? Yes, just remember Foxtrot. If you ever take me out for an expensive meal and get me hammered enough, I might tell you a bit about my pre-truck driver days. Speaking of, you ready for your big date? That's tonight, right? Casey's mind went to Piper's curls and that radiant smile. He wished he would have met her a week earlier so he could direct all of his attention to her. Ready or not, we're meeting at a restaurant on Chokecherry U at 6. This is your first date, a big one. What else do you have planned? You have talking points prepared? We're planning to attend Billy Geronimo's second lecture after dinner. That's where we first bumped into each other. Bummer what Clemmy said about Geronimo leaving soon. Truckee tapped his thumbs on the steering wheel. Guess that internship won't mean much for you now. Funny enough, Geronimo's assistant reached out to me about a full-time security position working their oil fields. I don't have any interest in that, but I thought about taking an interview to find out more about who might own this oil field Gunner works at. What if Gunner owns it? Casey shrugged. He might, but with all those plots on the GPS, I'm wondering if this isn't a bigger operation. The person or people that own this oil drill could be killing animals and extorting homeowners around the state. Maybe it's Rebel Resources LLC or even a bigger company. I don't know. And you think Geronimo or one of his folks would know who owns the drill or Rebel Resources? Casey took a sip of his coffee. Not sure, but I'm guessing Gunner's not going to tell us. True. Truckee cleared his throat. So, back to this date tonight. You have any post-lecture plans? Well, I had this sort of cheesy idea. What? I guess I'll see where the night takes us and how our chemistry is first. Don't worry, I'll give you a full report after. Good, and keep this in your back pocket as a fallback plan. If your date doesn't work out tonight, you can join me at Home Depot tomorrow. The hell? It's a whole thing. They call it Home Depot dating. These cougars wear low-cut shirts and stock the aisles looking for potential mates. Women get horny just thinking about having a handyman around the house. You can't be serious. You find a wealthy cougar, maybe one from Riverdale Estates here, and she could teach you a thing or two. I think I'll just focus on Piper and trying to get a second date. Suit yourself, but wear protection. Wish I would have when I was your age. Now I've got at least 3 kids from 2 women and a half a dozen states coming after me for child support. You want to know the definition of red tape? It's called interstate child support cases. Shit's a nightmare. The security gate opened again, and this time a black Range Rover sped away. Nice cars, Casey said. I wonder when our Dodge pickup will leave. Patience? Casey thought about Truckee's comments. I've been meaning to ask. A strange alert chirped from his phone. What app makes that noise? Truckee asked. It's from Jibble, a secure messaging app my wannabe hacker sister told me to download. I'm downloading it right now. There was a hidden message that informed him to click on it to read and respond, so he did. Frostfire. What's up, Chewbacca? What's with the username? That a Teddy reference or something? Buffalo Man. Alley-oop. No, it's kind of a long story. Is Frostfire your hacker name? 3 dots floated on the window. There was a countdown timer under the chat that said their messages would disappear within 24 hours. Frostfire. The point of apps like Jibble is for anonymity, which you blew on your first message. Good job, and the answer is yes. Buffalo Man. Sweet name. You buddies with Dunkaroo yet or still in Stan Zone? Frostfire. Working on it. I have to impress her first. Buffalo Man. Aren't you at school right now? Frostfire. Yeah, last day of the year, in between classes. Hey, so I dug into this Gunner guy and got a hit you'll want to know about. One Lancer Bass with the DOB you gave me has a flight booked first thing Saturday morning. It's a direct flight via Delta Airlines from Chokecherry to Miami. Bass has a follow-on flight somewhere out of the country, but I don't have the destination yet. Buffalo Man. Holy hacker. Frostfire. Thought you'd like to know in case this is time sensitive. Buffalo Man. This is amazing. How'd you find this out? How do you know he'll be on that flight? Frostfire. It would take too long to explain my methods to you, but the trip is ticketed and Gunner chose the seat already, so it's likely he'll be on that plane. Gotta run to my next class. I'm free of school for the summer after today, so hit me up anytime. Buffalo Man. I owe you, Frostfire. Seriously, great work. Frostfire. I know. What's your username? I'll add you, Truckee said. Gunner booked a flight for Saturday morning out of Chokecherry International. He's flying to Miami first and then somewhere out of the country. Shit, we gotta move on this soon. Yeah, less than 48 hours to go. My username is Buffalo Man, by the way. Look at you getting into character. I'll ping you mine. A Jibble notification popped up on Casey's phone. Duct tape dude. This is a friendly reminder we need to get some duct tape soon to restrain Gunner when we catch him. Casey laughed. Do you have an obsession with duct tape or what? Not at all, but have you ever stopped to think about how versatile it is? I mean, really, you can use it to fix just about anything, not to mention how handy it could be for your new profession. Zip ties work too. Not the same. Hey, what were you meaning to ask me earlier? Truckee asked, just before your sister hit you up. Oh yeah, we were talking about dating. I guess I was going to ask you about your kids and I guess your exes. What's the story there? Truckee went quiet and looked out the window. It's all sort of connected to my foxtrot past. Let's just say my last ex and 2 of my kids had to leave their former lives in a hurry. hurry. To make sure nothing bad happened to them, I went on the run and settled in a place known to harbor misfits like me, Chokecherry, North Dakota. Which reminds me, if you're going to pursue this FRA thing and do it right, you need to set up your informant network. Keep them on the payroll or in your pocket. Like having spies? Not so much spies, just people who pass you information. Bartenders like Nita Frost, strippers, taxi drivers, security guards, blackjack dealers, pawn shop owners, handhandlers, food cart vendors, reporters, and maybe even local law enforcement. Anyone who has access to information that could help you rope these criminals. Casey's mind scrambled as he thought of people he met in Chokecherry. Not sure if you've seen her around town, but I met this sign spinner named Hype Chick, and I also met this guy named AK Bob who runs a gun store. But how much would it cost? I definitely know Hype Chick, and I've heard of AK Bob. Yes, people like that are perfect, and it's not all about the money. It can be favors too. Sometimes providing favors for informants is more important than cash. Like sexual favors? Casey smirked. No, you pervert. Truckee took another sip of his drink. It doesn't say Pornhub recording agent on your vest, does it? Take Hype Chick, for example. Hype Chick thought I was a Roughnecks linebacker when we met. She wanted to tackle me and show me her talents. Okay, poor example. Truckee snickered. Take AK Bob. Find out what motivates him and hook him up. He's obsessed with hot dogs and AK-47s. He even has a gold-plated AK from Saddam's palace. Now, that's pretty sweet. Couldn't find chemical weapons over there, but a gold-plated AK? Worth the war for that. So maybe you give him a tip on another collectible AK, or find someone doing a documentary on AKs and introduce him to the producer. Personalize a trophy that says World's Greatest Authority on AKs. You get the point? Makes sense. Let's see how this first one with Gunner goes before I think about giving up my body for favors to informants. This isn't Russia. You don't have to stoop to honey. Hey, is that our truck? Casey aimed his binoculars at the security gate. Showtime. White Dodge pickup. Looks like Gunner's pulling a powerboat on a trailer. Gunner waved to the security guard as he passed. Where do you think he's taking the boat? We'll hopefully find out soon. I'm going to wait a few seconds and give him some distance. I wonder if he's going to use that boat at Knife River by the oil drill site. Maybe. Truckee put the truck in drive. He waited for a garbage truck to pass and pulled in behind. They entered the highway, heading south, past the casino, Eastside Commons, to the Spillway Corridor. He's exiting, Casey said. I haven't been out here, have you? A bunch. Truckee took the exit. It's the industrial part of town. Oil refineries, shipping logistics plants, warehouses. I take loads out here at least once a week. They followed Gunner past all the industrial plants and continued down the road until it turned to gravel. Where do you think he's going with his boat? Casey asked. I figured it out. Check out that worn down billboard on the side of the road. Big Country Shooters with a K. Oh, AK Bob mentioned this shooting range being used by Gunner and his guys. Said they could shoot the wings off a dragonfly in flight. Truckee pulled over to a stop. Casey watched the dust cloud behind Gunner's truck as he sped away. Why'd you stop? I've been here before. Only one way in and out and nowhere to turn around until you get to the parking lot. The owner's name is Kevin or Kyle Anderson, I forget. He's exactly the type of informant you'd want to have for something like this. Probably going for a morning shoot before he heads to the oil drill. This doesn't seem like a good place to go after him, especially if he has a gun in his hand. Can't use the oil drill or his house, so what should we do? I have an idea percolating in my brain. Something about his home that we can use, but I need to noodle it around first. It's still early, so my advice is for you to head to your Indian villages and play ranger or whatever you do there. See if you can spot Gunner or his boat from across the river. We reconvene tonight after your big date and we talk next steps. I think I'll have something ginned up by then. Sound good? We have to move on him soon though. Basically just have tomorrow. That's gonna speed things up, but let me think on it today. I'll call Hondo and see if he can spot Gunner on the river with his cameras. Call me if you guys need backup. Sounds like you're really trying to earn that 60% of the split. Truckee tapped the side of his head. I earn my pay with the most terrifying weapon known to mankind. Truckee Smoot's brain. That does sound scary.